Sonnen, the bad guy, the gangster from West Linn, Oregon, okay? He says that he's got it on good authority that Tom Aspinall is fighting Cyril Gane next.
Somebody hits me in 40 minutes, but the current plan right now, Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane for the interim championship.
Now, I want to preface this that maybe Chael's talking out of his ass, okay? I like Chael Sonnen. I think he's tremendous at what he does. He's a very, very good YouTuber. He's a very talented talker. He was a world-class fighter. I'm honored to have shared the octagon with him, even though I feel like I won that one. But regardless, who cares? Very, very close fight. Chael's awesome. Chael's great. But sometimes Chael just be talking shit, okay?
Do you really believe that Minotauro thought that a bus was a horse?
That happened. Now that happened. He stuck that carrot in the grill, and his brother was, whoa, big fella. Like,
so I don't know. Is he onto something here? Does he have inside information? Is he spilling the beans on something that's actually going to go down? Or is he talking out of his ass? We don't know. I don't know, okay? But let's just take...
From chasing Jon Jones to possibly landing Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall's heavyweight roller coaster might be taking a sharp turn. Rumors are flying that the UFC's rising star could be defending his interim title, just not against the guy everyone wanted. So, is Jon Jones out and is Gane in? Let's break down Michael Bisping's take on it.
It's Tom Aspinall. This is a crazy situation. Now, International Fight Week is just around the corner, and we need a big main event. And there's a lot of big fights getting discussed at the moment, by the way, but none would be bigger than Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. That's the biggest fight that the UFC can put on. It's one of the biggest fights in all of combat sports. It'll be one of the biggest fights the UFC has ever put on, okay? Tom wants to fight. The UFC want the fight, but it hasn't materialized yet. Now, Tom Aspinall said recently on his YouTube channel, there's going to be news soon of a fight, but he was sworn to secrecy.
I do know what's happening. I have had meetings with the UFC, as we know. I have been sworn to secrecy.
Of course he's sworn to secrecy. When he fights, it's going to be a big moment. It's going to be a big deal. They want all the pomp and circumstance. They want a press conference. They want the world's media there. But is it going to be against Cyril Gane? Because if it is, they have to strip Jon Jones. If they have...
So here's the situation according to Michael Bisping, who, by the way, isn't just some random guy chatting in his car. He's a former UFC champ with real connections in the fight world. He recently said that Tom Aspinall might be fighting Cyril Gane next for the interim heavyweight title. And that's huge. Not just because it's a great stylistic matchup, but because it raises the big question, where the heck is Jon Jones? Let's rewind. Tom Aspinall is the interim champ and has been vocal about wanting to fight Jon Jones. Honestly, who wouldn't? Beating Jon would be the ultimate statement. He's arguably the greatest fighter ever, but Jon's been MIA since he pulled out of the Stipe fight due to injury. That was a while ago. And since then, crickets. No updates, no return date, nothing.
If they have to bring in another guy for Tom to defend the interim strap 2 times, against Curtis Blades and then Cyril Gane, because Jon Jones doesn't want to fight him, then I'm sorry, this is really going to tarnish his legacy. Jon Jones is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the greatest of all time. Simple as that, okay? That's a fact. Look at what he did throughout the entirety of his career, taking on generations of champions. You know, we don't need to go through it all. Yes, there's competition. George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. You can even say Fedor Emelianenko from other organizations and stuff like that. But Jon Jones has beaten multiple generations of champions, defended the belt a ridiculous amount of times, okay? So I don't think he's necessarily scared, but he's probably like, oh, shit. Tom Aspinall's knocking everyone out. He's the best finisher in the sport right now. He's absolutely gigantic. He floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee, knocking everyone out in ridiculous fashion. He can wrestle. He can submit people. He's got a great gas tank on him, we think. We've never seen him have to go into the later rounds because he just finishes everybody. But if Jon Jones doesn't want to fight him and they've got to bring in Cyril Gane, then they've got to talk about stripping this guy. That's just a fact. That's not...
Meanwhile, Aspinall is sitting on the sidelines with a belt that doesn't feel quite official because he hasn't fought the lineal champ. So now, if he ends up fighting Cyril Gane instead, it feels like the UFC might be done waiting on Jon. And if they are, we're talking about possibly stripping Jon Jones of his title. That's where things get sad and frustrating. John has done so much in this sport. He's taken out legends, defended his title more times than most people can count, and moved up to heavyweight to cement his GOAT status. But if he avoids a fight with Aspinall, whether it's due to injury, negotiation issues, or whatever else, it puts a dent in his legacy. Not erases it, but definitely scratches the surface.
I know he has to get that win, but do you think Tom Aspinall's the guy to beat John Jones?
For sure. John's scared of him. He's ducking him, man. He don't want to fight That's why he's like, oh, I'll vacate the title. I'll fight the number 10 guy. Scared. Why do people think John Jones is a GOAT? He literally destroyed his legacy by ducking Tom Aspinall. The guy's a coward, and he's a woman beater. He beat his John.
And that's exactly what's firing people up, because for many fans and fighters, this isn't just an unfortunate delay. It looks like John is deliberately sidestepping Tom. The perception is that he's avoiding the one guy who could actually give him problems in the cage.
John Jones,
he doesn't want to fight Aspinall.
Do you really think that?
100%.
Do you really think he looks at Aspinall and he's like, that guy will beat me?
No. He says, I've got this fight and I've probably got one more. He's like, what's going to be the two fights that I'm going to be easiest to win? He thinks that he could take down Pereira. That's simple enough.
That fight would be a joke because John's a really good wrestler and Alex's wrestling is obviously not there. There's no way. If he took that fight instead of Tom Aspinall after coming off beating Stipe, he'd look real bad.
So is that smart for John, or is that just like him?
No, that's smart because he wants to retire it with a legacy. At the same time, he's not fighting the #1 contender. Well, not the biggest fight per se, but the most competitive fight would be against Tom Aspinall.
He moves well, man.
So if he wins this fight, wins the next fight, ends his career,
he's done.
30-0. 30-0.
Well, I mean, nope, Matt Hamill.
They'll probably take that off.
There's growing talk that John would rather face safer opponents or even vacate the belt than step in with someone as dangerous and explosive as Tom. It's not just whispers anymore. It's turning into a loud narrative. Some fighters are even openly saying John's afraid to take that risk, that he's protecting his legacy instead of proving it. And when you add John's past controversies into the mix, it only makes things messier. People start questioning whether he's still the fearless champion who took on everyone in their prime, or if he's now being too selective with who he fights.
Do you think John is ducking you?
Yes.
Was that
I
Tom?
do. I think I said, yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think that there's just an easier path for him. And I understand it. I do understand it completely. I understand that there's bigger fights out there for him with way less risk and way more money. I understand it. But in all honesty, do I think he's ducking me? Absolutely.
I do have to ask you about these reports of you being an asshole. Are they true?
Sometimes, yeah. Yes, I think everybody is sometimes.
The craziest thing was when Tom won the last fight in Manchester, I go, Tom, what do you want to say to the champ, John Jones? And Tom goes, John, you're a really nice fella, and I would love to fight you. And then John's like, this guy's a dick.
That's why it's so funny to hear John saying that. He's like the nicest guy on the planet. You're the exact opposite of your countryman, Michael Bisping. You're a genuinely nice person. You know what I mean?
And it's not just people online or other fighters calling it out. Tom Aspinall himself has said it straight up. He really believes John Jones is avoiding him, not because of bad blood or anything personal, but because it's the easier route. John's got bigger money fights out there that come with way less risk. So from a business point of view, Tom gets it, but still, it doesn't change the fact he feels like he's being ducked.
There's a part of it that does, but if I'm being completely honest, I feel like Tom's been such an asshole that I don't want to do business with him. His fans have been so annoying, and obviously you don't get this far in a career being affected by fans, but he's just an asshole. He's 30, so he's from this influencer generation where you hop online and the t-shirt sales and all that. I'm past that type of stuff. I'm like, bro, if you had a little bit more respect, then maybe we could have worked something out. I just don't even want to do business with him. You know, at the end of the day, this is a business, and fighting me gives him an opportunity to change his life forever. And I don't even want to give him the opportunity. He just played his cards wrong with me personally. I'm 3 years.
What makes it all kind of wild is that Tom's never even been disrespectful about it. He's always been chill, respectful, even cracking jokes. Yet John still seems to want nothing to do with him, and that's where fans are starting to connect the dots. Why would the champ avoid someone who's not only respectful, but one of the most dangerous guys in the division right now? It's hard not to think John's dodging that challenge on purpose. From his side, it's not about fear, it's about value. Why risk it all when there's nothing major to gain? But not everyone sees it that way.
What do you think about he's going to come back, he's going to fight Tom?
Yes, I think he'll fight Tom. I think he'll hang out. You don't think so? No? Really?
I don't think so.
How come?
For what?
For glory.
He already has the glory.
Yeah, one more glory before the lights fade.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think John's a conqueror. I think
he is.
I think he can't sit back.
He's the best of all time. No one can say the opposite of that. He's the best.
Look, the guy developed a spinning back kick at 36. Didn't have a spinning back kick his whole career. And then all of a sudden knocks out Stipe with a spinning back kick for the heavyweight title at 36, 37 years old. That's crazy.
Joe Rogan chimed in, and even though he called John the greatest of all time, he wasn't so sure John would actually fight Tom. While others might think John's just biding time before stepping in the cage again, Joe leaned more toward the idea that John might not bother at all. In his eyes, John already has the glory. He's done it all, proven everything, and chasing one more big challenge before the lights go out might not be enough of a reason. But at the same time, Joe still respects the heck out of him. He pointed out how even in his late 30s, John's evolving, adding new tools, and staying dangerous. So while he doesn't think the fight will happen, it's not because John can't do it. It's because he might just choose not to.
You know that the first time I fought John Jones, I was 36 years old. I was 36 years old. The first time I fought John Jones. 36 and 38 the second time. He's now what, 37, 38 years old? I think that this kid is as dangerous for him as anyone he's ever been in there with, partly because that's not his weight class. He would fight Tom Aspinall better than him weighing 245 pounds.
This whole Tom Aspinall, John Jones thing, for lack of a better word, is just weird. For me, it's just weird. Like, I don't get it. If I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be compensated. I want to say it. I want that fuck you money. John Jones shooting straight. Because at the end of the day, guys, I will tell you, not afraid. Tom Aspinall to John Jones is just another guy that he would fight and that he believes he can beat. But what he does want is to get paid. And I think he recognizes the dangers in the fight. I mean, when this line opened, John Jones was an underdog. John Jones was the underdog. I don't even know if there's ever been a time in his career where someone has been favored to beat John Jones. And I think that concerns him.
And then there are contradictory opinions from Daniel Cormier, someone who knows exactly what it's like to stand across the octagon from John Jones. He's not just throwing out hot takes, he's speaking from experience. Cormier pointed out the reality John's facing right now, age and size. When DC first fought John, he was already in his mid-30s, and now John is in that same stage of his career. That's a big deal, especially when you're staring down someone like Tom Aspinall, who's not just younger, but also naturally bigger and faster. From DC's point of view, Tom isn't just another contender, he might be the most dangerous challenge John's had, especially at heavyweight. And let's not forget, John's still adapting to this weight class. That's why Cormier believes if John does take the fight, he'll need to be strategic about how he carries that heavyweight frame, because against someone like Tom, just being John Jones might not be enough.
He keeps saying he doesn't want Aspinall.
Aspinall need that fight. I don't need it. When you look at it, pretty much true. There's nothing that he's going to make winning that fight if it's not money. But for Aspinall, that will be everything.
Would you rather see him face Aspinall or would you rather see him face Pereira?
Aspinall will be a more challenging fight.
Even Francis Ngannou, no stranger to the heavyweight spotlight, has weighed in on this John Jones versus Tom Aspinall situation, and he didn't hold back. Ngannou made it pretty clear that from John's perspective, taking a fight against Aspinall doesn't come with much reward. There's not a big payday, not much legacy enhancement, just a serious threat. Tom is hungry, explosive, and has everything to gain. That kind of dynamic makes the fight high risk, low reward for John, and that's likely why John keeps brushing it off like it's unnecessary. But what really stood out was Ngannou's comparison between Tom Aspinall and Alex Pereira. While Pereira may have the star power and striking finesse, Francis believes Aspinall brings way more depth to the table, especially in terms of ground game and wrestling. He said Tom is more well-rounded and would give John a tougher, more complete challenge. That's coming from a former champ who understands exactly what it takes to survive in the heavyweight division. So when someone like Ngannou says Aspinall is the tougher puzzle to solve, it hits differently.
This Cyril Gane versus Tom Aspinall. That gets me thinking. That's a really, really interesting fight. Now, of course, when you look at Tom, what separates him from most heavyweights is his athletic ability, his size, his agility, his speed, of course, his technical prowess, and his knockout power. Cyril Gane can match him for a lot of that stuff. Of course, Tom is more technical and he's more well-rounded. He's got better wrestling, he's got better jiu-jitsu, and he probably hits harder. In fact, he does hit harder. It's because he's not scared of being taken down. He goes forward, he's aggressive, he stands in the pocket, and he really commits and swings like crazy. I'm just saying in terms of athletic ability, agility, size, power, speed, stuff like that, Cyril Gane might be able to match him. Remember, he went to a decision against Francis Ngannou. Yes, of course, Francis took him down, turned into a wrestler, won via decision. And we know, of course, Jon Jones submitted him in the first round, just over 2 minutes. Slipped a shot, got in tight, dragged him down, and as Gane was standing, locks up the guillotine. So Tom's far more advanced in terms of technical ability when it comes to grappling in general, whether it's on the ground or when it comes to wrestling and taking people down. And if Cyril Gane has improved his takedown defense, it could turn...
You mentioned about Paris. We've seen you fight Spivak before and how that went. Cyril tweeted that he thinks you should be careful what you wish for, and he'll see you in Paris. How do you think you match up against Cyril?
I better be careful, apparently. Yeah. I think I match up pretty well against him. I think I'm equally as fast as him. I move equally as well. The difference is I can grapple, and I've got a lot of power. And I think that's pretty undeniable at this stage of my career. He's like, I've got a lot of knockouts on my record, mate. I have to touch you once, and I wasn't even throwing heavy tonight. I thought it was going to be a 5-rounder. I didn't mean to knock him out. I thought it was going to be a 5-rounder. I'm not even joking. Ask any of my team. I was pretty sure that was going to be a 5-round fight tonight, and just takes one shot, mate, at heavyweight, especially with me throwing him.
Now back to Tom versus Cyril. That fight would be a banger. Cyril's got the footwork and striking finesse. Tom's got the power, the grappling, the speed. Basically, he's a nightmare matchup for most heavyweights. But let's be real, Cyril has struggled with strong grapplers before. We all remember how Jon submitted him in 2 minutes. So stylistically, Tom might be too much for him too. But Bisping makes a good point. It's not even about who wins. It's about why this fight is even happening. If Jon Jones is healthy but uninterested and the UFC is forced to move on, then it feels like we're getting the second best option. And that sucks for Tom, because all he wants is to prove he's the real champ. Fighting Cyril Gane helps, but it's not the same as taking out the undisputed king. So yeah, this whole thing, it's exciting but also kind of disappointing. It's a reminder that in MMA, timing is everything, and sometimes even the best matchups never happen. And that's the hardest part for fans, and probably for Tom too, because no matter how dominant he looks against Gane or anyone else, there'll always be that Jon Jones shaped asterisk next to his title. People won't forget that the undisputed champ never defended against him. And it's not like Tom's asking for a favor. He's earned his shot, climbed the ladder, beat top contenders, and brought fresh energy to the heavyweight division. But instead of a career-defining moment, he might just get a placeholder fight. Meanwhile, Jon's legacy remains untouched, at least on paper, but public perception is shifting. Fans are starting to ask whether he's staying away from danger or just being smart, maybe both. But that's what makes this so frustrating, because the perfect storm is right there. But if it never happens, we're all left guessing. So what do you think? Should Jon fight Tom next, or has that ship already sailed? Let us know in the comments below.